Well, top of the morning to you. So, a little update on the citation, on the Harmen Karmne Citation V. Actually, the owner came by the other day and dumped this bag of parts on me. And basically, in a nutshell, what I wanted to do was replace all these caps. This is the negative bias cap. There's actually two capacitors in one can. These two caps are part of the voltage doubler. There's two caps and two diodes for the voltage doubler. And then in this cap on the end there are three more caps for the rest of the high voltage. There basically are four high voltage taps there. They start at, like, I think it's 4. Oh, I suppose I could look. 440, 430, 425, and 420. They just keep stepping down. So we want to replace all these now. There's some other caps. There's some coupling caps under here that he hasn't got the replacements for, and a few resistors. There's like some resistors. And I've done as much work as I can. I've rebuilt the power supplies, got rid of the old diodes, and I got all new cathode resistors in there. So it's coming along. I've done some testing. It's fine. I don't know. Personally, I think if this was mine, I'd just let the good times roll. It is fused. And one other little time bomb I ran into. It's a little hard to see, and I'm not going to, well, maybe I can go out of my way without a fight. I was messing around, and I noticed that the chassis is grounded to these caps. That makes sense. But up for the life of me, couldn't figure out how. All these caps, all of them are stood up off of the plate with little insulator, kind of oval-shaped insulators. And then there's a punched hole, and they use that. So somewhere in there are ground wires attached to the tabs of these things. And somewhere in there, it hooks to ground. And I started this magical journey to find out where that happened. And I'll be darned if I could find it. You know, I would have thought this tab right here is ground. This one isn't. I would have thought they'd use this. No, nothing so simple. And I'm a little puzzled as to why. And I finally found it, and it's a little mysterious. There are some weird ground wires in here. There's a little metal tab here that's bent out, and there are two wires that run under the chassis that I had a hell of a time seeing. And they run around, and where did that go? How did that, I can't even remember. These things go every which way in this thing. It's kind of unusual. That was cool. Neat. Just here's the rest of you on the floor. Oh well. It's the real world, and that's the way it is. Okay. Somewhere in here, where was that? That went there. I can't even. Okay. There's a pretty heavy wire that goes from here to. This is really dumb. To this. This is the input jack. And then through the input jack shielding, it goes around and goes over to here, and it goes right here. Yeah. This is really wacky. And then from there, there's a wire on the back side of this board that dives down, goes under, and peers there. And then this wire here goes over through the center and along this edge, and then hooks to one of these caps. It goes to, I believe, this one. And that does the same thing on the other side. And there are these ground wires all over the place. I'm amazed this thing doesn't have a ground loop, personally. I just thought that was really weird. You can actually, maybe, right there. There it is. Oop, sorry about that. See that right there? connects to there, and this dives up under there, appears over here, and you can't see where that hooks. And then that wire dives underneath and appears right here. It's just very, very strange. I don't know why it does that. Maybe that isn't that one. No, I think that's... No, that is not the one. It actually comes from over here to... Where is that? Right there. And then goes down in here, and then over to here, and then over to here. It's just a mess. It's very, very strange. Okay, so what I've done so far... Anyway, he brought by these parts. And needless to say, I'm not... Well, I don't know. I'm going to make the best out of what I got here. This is going to be a bit messy, and I'm not, I don't know, super pleased, but we're going to do the best we can. Underneath here, well, this might be, well, there's no good way to show you this. Underneath here, this audio transformer sits, and there are 4 mounting bolts that come clear through. I'm going to extend those mountings with some little standoffs. I'm going to clean all this out, and I'm going to use this piece of perf board. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to mount that in there in the corners, and then build the power supply up on that, and do the same on the other side. The other side will be quite a bit smaller, won't be so crowded. So it's going to be about 4 by 5 roughly. Yeah. And then I've got the holes. It's offset just a tiny bit. So for the first input set of caps, there are 2 caps in that voltage doubler, and when you put, I got to put caps in series to get enough voltage to equal those old caps. And then when you put a cap in, when you put 2 caps in series, if they're of equal capacitance, basically the capacitance gets divided by half. These are 450 volt at, or excuse me, they're 2. Think before we talk. They're 120 microfarad at 450 volt. So you put 2 together, that's 60 microfarad, but it's almost 900 volts. Well, then the capacitance drops down, so then to beef the capacitance back up, you got to put some more in parallel. So this whole thing here is basically, there's 4 caps to equal 2 caps. I know it's a bit messy. It's real messy. And then there's another 2 caps, and then further down on the tap, he actually found some caps that are going to work. And then you got to put these balancing resistors in there to equalize the voltage out. You're making a little voltage divider to kind of divide that voltage out. And then over on the negative supply, these are acceptable. I'm just going to make a little circuit board there. There's enough room in there. And luckily the audio transformers sit down in the chassis further. The power transformer sits up, and it sits up so high that I won't be able to do that. You can see here that it runs into it, but over here there's plenty of room. It's a little kludgy. I don't know. If it were me, I think what I would have done is I would have, well, this would have been easy enough to replace with another twist lock cap. These 2 could have been replaced with some caps, and this one might have been a little bit of a pickle, but today's modern caps are pretty small. The problem is that this thing's got a lot of B plus to it. It's got almost 500 volts, and it doesn't help that the B plus has been boosted a little bit by today's modern line voltages. This was probably set up for 117 volts originally. Yeah, and now it's, you know, 120, 125, depending on there. So you're kind of pushing the limit a little bit. So that's the idea. I'll have to build some standoffs. I thought I had some, and I don't. All the standoffs I got are the wrong thread size. I think these are number 8 screws. And I thought up a couple different ideas. One was I was just going to get some brass tubing. The first idea was I was actually going to machine some standoffs. I don't feel like that. I'm not, you know what, I'm too old to build shit like that anymore. If I was doing it, I would do it that way, but I don't have enough time. I thought about using some plastic and threading that. Maybe. I think what I'm going to do is get some brass tubing. Originally, I thought about getting some brass tubing and just dropping it over these little studs. I don't know if you can see that. Yeah, this one here. I thought about getting some small brass tubing from the hardware store and just dropping it over it like that. And if it was really tight fitting, you could put some glue on there. Wasn't crazy about that idea. I think what I might do is I'll get some brass tubing, but I'll get some nuts and make the tubing however high I need it, and then I'll solder those nuts on there and see if that works. I should just order some. I just don't feel like it. You ever do stuff like that? Every once in a while you just don't feel like being horsed into a lot of work. I should make him do this, but... And if I made some standoffs, I'd have to go find some metal or probably some aluminum, and I don't know. To be really honest, this cap thing didn't please me any, and this has to do with the budget. And I got a feeling he probably got a hold of these dirt cheap. I hope they're actually Nippon Chemcon caps. They probably will be okay. I don't know. Now I'm gonna have to. They've got little Loctite fingers. I'm gonna have to open these holes up in this perf board. This perf board you can get at Radio Shack. It's a few bucks. And I'm just gonna cut this. I'm just gonna score it with a carpet knife and snap it on those holes. I've kind of drawn with pencil just a rough outline. And there's enough there to make those 2 power supplies. So that's the plan. And I've kind of started laying it out. I kind of drew this on paper and sketched it out. Now I've got, actual dimensions here. I'm fiddling around. I don't know. Not super pleased, but these are like 2.4K. Or excuse me, 240K. I think they're about those. Well, they look like 1 watt. They actually they're metal film. They might be 2 watt. The metal film resistors, the bodies are a little smaller for the wattages. So if you have a 2 watt resistor, the bodies look like the next size down. That'll be okay. And I'll have to hustle some wire and figure out how, I don't know, I'm probably going to end up ripping up about half of this wiring in here. Again, it's going to be a lot of work. I don't know. I think the word is annoyed. And he's still got to find me some resistors. This plate resistor, even though it's been behaving, needs to be replaced. And these 2 plate resistors, and there's a balance pot on there. And I got kind of a where'd that go? He sort of hunted me down a balance pot. It's about the right value, but it's not, I don't know, it's not 100% right. I dug this other one off a TV, and that's what I was afraid of. The tabs aren't even the right. Dang it. Okay, I'm going to end up using this one. I don't know, I've seriously thought about just eliminating that control. It's just more of an annoyance than anything. All to do with the budget. Everything's about the budget. My personal recommendation is if you're going to jack with this kind of stuff, be aware that it costs money to straighten this stuff out. And if you do a kind of a limited funds job, you're going to eventually wish you'd have gone back and done it right. Well, I'm going to skedaddle. It's just a little update for you. Take her easy.